and even his assists aren't bad for what we would expect from him. He's at 7 assists. I think that's more than anyone could expect it from him. It's a big uppage in scoring. Career 19 points per game score. He's averaging 27 this year. He's been absolutely fantastic this year. Now, Steph Curry's had a great year as well. But the fact that James Harden is leading that team and basically keeping him afloat, in my opinion, I think it's quite amazing. I think for that reason, he's the MVP.
All right, I have Stephen Curry. I'm going against you on this one. James Harden, don't get me wrong, having a great year. But Stephen Curry is just on things that are insane right now. Making threes, he's driving to the basket too. I mean, he's honestly the best all-around point guard right now, and he's dishing assists. He's like third in the league in assists right now. I mean, he's been amazing this year, knocking down everything. I mean, he has just really been unstoppable, and he's been so important to that team. I mean, he's honestly making Steve Kerr looking like a genius out there, and we know that Steve Kerr is not as good as the record says it is. He's a first-time coach, literally came off the booth, and is now sitting in the sideline with the Warriors. I mean, his record should not be what it is. It's really all things Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, both Splash Bros. But Curry's just been amazing this year. I think Dwight has done a lot for that team with Harden to make him a little bit less valuable. I mean, he is still very valuable, but Curry, I think, has been amazing, and he deserves it. Similar to like a D Rose year Curry's having when D Rose won the MVP that 1 year. We're gonna go with most improved. CB, you and me are both going Jimmy Butler. I think it's pretty easy to say. Jimmy Butler averaged 13 last year, and now he's averaging like 21. I know you're a Bulls fan, so I'll let you talk about Jimmy Butler a little bit.
Yeah, it's amazing the jump that he's made. No one expected him to go from a lockdown defender to really a facilitator and scorer for the Bulls team. He's a career 10-point per game scorer and doubling his career output this year. He's at 21 points per game right now. Rebounds are up to 6, assists are up to 3.5, blocks are up, steals are up. And I saw a stat earlier where he's leading the NBA in minutes, yet has like a third of the turnovers of LeBron James. So his turnover numbers are fantastic as well. He's just literally done everything for the Bulls, and it's really helping because it helps Derrick Rose, who's now starting to turn it on, but it allows Derrick Rose to kind of ease back into the offense instead of having to have come right back in and take over the number one scoring role.
It was kind of worth it now for the Bulls to not to trade Luol Deng a year ago, if you really think about it, because Jimmy Butler probably would have never been as good as he is now without that happening, because he wouldn't have gotten as many chances. I mean, Jimmy Butler, I saw him shoot. I mean, he's on fire shooting. It's not even just, it's not like he's just driving to the basket. He's on fire shooting in the perimeter. He's making every shot I see him shoot. I mean, it's because, it's just really been awesome. As you say, he's a good, perfect all-around player, can defend, can shoot. As you said, the turnover thing, only a third turnover, so he's good. He's smart with the ball, and it's just got a great basketball IQ, and it's just been great for the Bulls. And, as I said before, last year averaged 13 points per game, and this year is averaging like 21. So it's really been amazing, and it's pretty easy, most improved player. So defensive.
Yeah, it's really been amazing the fact that he's second in the NBA in both free throws attempted and free throws made, really making that jump and really driving the basket a lot more.
Right. So defensive player of the year, we're both going Anthony Davis, pretty much because he's leading the league in blocks. That's my reason, at least. I don't know if you have any other reason. I mean, he's been great this year, too. I mean, some people are even saying Anthony Davis could be MVP this year.
Yeah, he's literally taken over he can literally take over a game defensively. He will block so many shots, and he gets a lot of rebounds. But the way he takes over a game defensively is absolutely amazing.
Right, I mean, he's been on fire. If the Pelicans were just a little bit better, he would be an MVP candidate right away, and possibly could win it this year too. Rookie of the year, this is pretty easy. CB, go ahead.
I have Andrew Wiggins. I don't think it's as easy as you think. Nikola Mirotic is really bursting on the scene. The problem is he doesn't have nearly as many minutes as some of these other rookies. But the fact that he's doing it for a contending team in the Chicago Bulls is starting to put him on the map with some people. For now, Wiggins is obviously putting up the most numbers because he's on a bad team and getting a lot of minutes. But Nikola Mirotic is probably the most skilled rookie.
I mean, yeah, he's been shooting the lights out, but if you can see in my notes there, CB, I did put Mirotic and I put J.K. Wiggins. So I'm going Andrew Wiggins, just because I think he's the lead scorer in rookies, and if Jabari did not get hurt, I probably would have picked Jabari, just because Jabari was doing better rebounding and being an all-around player. I mean, Wiggins is scoring. We've seen the flashes of his talent. I mean, we have to remember this kid is only 19 years old. I mean, only 20 years old. So he's still very, very young, and we got to give him some time. And, people are wondering now, if he stayed in Cleveland, if Cleveland never decided to trade him for Kevin Love, if things could have been different than they are right now, would they have a better record? What would have happened? And Wiggins has done pretty well. I mean, he's on a really bad team, but he's done pretty well, nonetheless. And he's getting his shooting down, which I was surprised, because I did not think Wiggins was going to be a good shooter at all this year. All right, so we're moving on to the sixth man. I didn't really know about this one, Nick. CB, I'll be honest, kind of just copied Rasul Butler off you. I saw him a few days ago. He looked great. My brother's been constantly talking about him, saying, this guy is great. He should win sixth man. So, CB, why don't you explain why he should win sixth man of the year?
Yeah, not even being talked about a lot as a sixth man of the year candidate. One of the people, obviously Jamal Crawford, those who have consideration, Manu Ginobili, Klaus Gibson, who many people thought he should have won last year, but Rasul Butler's having a great season.
All right, well, I don't think, not a lot of people. I mean, people like the Jamal Crawford pick, and Markieff Morris should have won it last year too. I mean, he was doing pretty good on the Suns, similar to Taj. So,
either way, he's not really leading scoring off the bench, but he's again doing it for a contending team, which is always important in my opinion. These awards. He's only averaging about 10 points per game off the bench. But the fact of the matter is his three-point shooting has been an absolute godsend for the Wizards. They've really been lacking the three-point shooting. He's shooting third best in the NBA at 47% from three. It's just absolutely amazing. And he's been on 11 different teams in his career. To finally find a niche in Washington, I think he's more than deserving of sixth man of the year.
It's funny, only 3 years ago that James Harden won sixth man of the year. Still kind of weird. All right, so I think that is it for. Oh yeah, comeback player of the year. I'm sorry. I know you said D Rose. I was trying to think of someone because I just not want to say D Rose, but I mean no one else really has had that comeback story this year. So I'll go Derrick Rose, and you can explain this too because this is your Bulls team. So go ahead, CB.
Derrick Rose hasn't quite had the season that we expected yet. He's starting to turn it on. The last 2 games, he's combined for 10 threes.
Wait, he played 2 games in a row? Oh, my God. He didn't sit out?
He's actually he missed a lot of games early in the year, but he's been playing a lot of games lately. The fact the last 2 games was 5 for 8, 11 was 5 for 8 and 6 for 9 from 3. He's starting to be shooting the ball really well. He's 32 and 29. He had a stretch where he shot the ball poorly. He's averaging only 18 points per game. Not really what we expected from him. Definitely below his career numbers. But I think once we get to the second half of the season, Derrick Rose is really starting to turn it on, and I think that'll continue through the second half of the year.
All right, so that is it for our midseason awards. You heard it. We'll just say MVPs one more time. CB picked James Harden. I picked Stephen Curry. We know it's a big one. So now we're going to stay with the NBA, and we're going to talk about 2 teams that are struggling a lot as of late. Cleveland Cavaliers, who just actually won 2 games in a row, but had a huge losing streak before. And the Knicks, well, let's just say the Knicks haven't won even since before Christmas. So we'll start with the Cavs. What is going on with the Cavs, CB? Why are they struggling so much right now?
The biggest problem with the Cavs is the fact that Kevin Love really doesn't have a role in that team. Kevin Love is one of the premier players when he gets the ball in the NBA, and still stats he's able to put up in Minnesota. The fact is, he doesn't really know how to play in the system. He's not used to getting the ball as little as he is, and he's really been struggling. If the Cavs are going to have any chance of turning around in the second half and being a successful team, they're going to need to get Kevin Love more involved, and he needs to be a big part of that team. They've had some defensive struggles inside too because he's not a premier defender, and they've really been hurting with the loss of Anderson Varejao out. I think this team will turn it around some, but I don't think they're going to be Eastern Conference Finalist team like so many thought. There are so many good teams in the East that people didn't expect. The Bulls are obviously good. The Hawks, no one expecting them to do what they were doing. The Wizards are very good, and Toronto's still a solid team. They haven't had DeMar DeRozan for much this year, so we'll see what they are once they get back. But I think that this Cavs team might even struggle to make it out of the first round if they don't pick it up.
Now, do you see David Blatt possibly getting fired this year? With all
I don't. It appears that Cleveland management really seems to like him. I think that they've come out so publicly and supported him so much that I don't see there's any reason why he would get fired. We just have to think of what else your options are for the rest of this year. They really need to win this year because who knows what Kevin Love's going to do after this year. It's been such a struggle. He can still opt out of his contract at the end of this year. And everyone remembers the reports at the start of the year that he wanted to go to the Lakers long before he was traded from Minnesota. And so who knows what he's going to do. They have to make sure that he doesn't opt out. LeBron can still opt out of this after this year.
But if LeBron opts out and leaves, I mean, like, that city's going to burn down to the ground. Like, people are going to go insane and hate LeBron. He won't be able to step in Ohio if he leaves. So,
yes. Yeah, I don't really see him leaving either, but remember, he still can opt out at the end of this year.
All right.
So I would think that they're going to try and keep it together for the rest of this year and hope that they can turn it around.
I mean, it is funny with Love because now people are starting to question his ability as a player and think that he was only good because he was on a bad team. Now that he's got people around him, he's showing his true NBA skills and is really not as good as people would think. Now, Kevin Love, I think he's just lost. I mean, I don't think he just fits in. Kyrie wants to shoot. You know, LeBron has to take up the ball, and Kevin Love's just kind of left there in the dust, not knowing what to do. You know, we were seeing games with him when he's getting 15 points, you know, when he was averaging 23, 24 in Minnesota. And it is a big difference, and it does hurt a player's morale and chemistry with the team if you get lost out there in the court. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Cavs can really turn things around in the second half of the year. Now, another team that's struggling is New York Knicks. They have been I'm thinking they're worse than the 2009-2010 Nets. I mean, this is a really, really bad team. CB, I mean, we could all say why Melo has been hurt and just does not look good out there. Everyone wants Melo out of there. You know, Phil Jackson has not done a great job. A lot of people are saying. They're trying to clear cap for free agents like Marc Gasol and Marcus Aldridge next year. You know, is there hope for the Knicks? Can they turn things around? And do you see their future as a bright one in the next few years?
I don't see why you would. They've lost 16 in a row. They've won in their last 27 games.
I mean, and they get killed. I mean, if they're playing the Sixers in a few days, so if they lose to the Sixers. Man, Daily News, the Post, they're just going to go off and say, fire Phil Jackson. I mean, what he's done, re-signing Melo, not doing well. He traded away J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert to try to clear cap. That's what he's been trying to do. Waive Samuel Dallenberg. I mean, he's tried to do everything and is really it's pretty much tanking. It's almost tanking, but you're not tanking. I mean, they're really trying to go after. They must really want Julio Okafor or something because 5 wins out of 41 games and just getting killed. And it's not even close. They're getting killed now. I mean, they used to play close games. They almost beat the Trailblazers. They went to the OT with the Raptors one time. I mean, they're just not even close in these games anymore. It's pretty sad.
Remember, this was a team that was projected by Vegas to win 40.5 games. That was their line for this.
Yeah, because they had Jose Calderon. They thought Dallenberg was going to be somewhat decent. They didn't think Cole Aldridge would be starting at center by now. You know, they thought Melo would be scoring 27, 28 like he did a few years ago. I mean, they thought, we all thought they had enough talent they could at least make the playoffs in the East. I mean, they're looking, this is honestly, this is probably the lowest we've ever seen the Knicks. This is really bad. I mean, nobody expected this to happen. And it's just been...
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like it's going to be looking up anytime soon for them.
No, and people are really starting to question, what is Phil Jackson doing? And also saying that Derek Fisher is a terrible coach and should get fired and does not know what he's doing out there. He just looks pretty serious all the time. That's all I can say. I don't know how Derek Fisher is as a coach. So we'll take a quick break and then come up after the break. We're going to go over our championship picks, and then it's going to be a quick show today. we're gonna actually go from that into our quick segments like Bang Bang Who's Hot and Who's Not and our snowball effects.